Speaker, Washington.
Speaker, Speaker,
Speaker, gentlewoman.
Speaker, Speaker, Speak President. Speaker, vote President.
President down in Washington.
Speaker,
Speaker, Speaker.
Speaker,
Speaker, gentlewoman.
The Washington.
Washington.
Gentleman, gentlewoman.
Speaker. Speaker. Washington. Washington. President. Vote.
Speaker, Washington, 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 Speaker,
Mr. Speaker.
Gentlewoman, vote President. Vote.
Gentlewoman.
Washington,
Speaker, Washington, vote. Speaker.
Gentlemen, vote.
gentleman,
Gentlemen, fraud. Washington for Washington. Vote.
Speaker. Gentlemen.
Speaker, Washington, 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 Washington,
Gentlemen.
Washington.
Speaker, gentlemen,
Washington, Washington. Shroud of Washington. Precedent. Vote.
Speaker.
Vote, vote, vote. Speaker, Washington, 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 Washington. Vote, vote.
gentlemen,
Speaker. Vote. Vote. Vote.
Gentlemen.
Vote. 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 President. Vote. Vote. Vote.
Washington,
Washington. Washington.
Gentlemen.
Speaker, gentlewoman, vote. Washington, vote.
Washington.
Gentlewoman. From the
Vote President. Vote.
Speaker. Speaker. Precedent. Speaker. Speaker. Vote.
gentlemen.
Washington, vote.
Vote.
gentlemen,
Washington, resident, vote. President, Speaker.
Washington. Washington. Vote. Vote. Gentlemen.
Washington.
Speaker.
Speaker, Washington, vote.
Speaker, President, Washington.
Gentlemen. Gentlewoman. Speaker.
Washington. Washington.
Speaker.
Washington, 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 Speaker,
Washington.
Gentlemen.
Speaker. 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 Washington. President. Washington. Vote. Vote. Washington. Vote.
Gentlemen. Gentlemen.
Washington, 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 Speaker, Washington, 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 gentlemen, Washington, Washington, Washington,
Gentlemen.
Gentleman Speaker. Gentleman, gentleman, gentleman Speaker. Speaker. Gentleman Speaker. Gentleman, gentleman
Speaker.
Gentleman, gentleman, gentlewoman Speaker.
Speaker.
Gentleman Speaker. Gentleman, gentleman Speaker. Speaker. Gentlewoman Speaker. 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 Gentlewoman Speaker.
Most important.
Speaker. Gentlemen, gentlemen.
Gentlemen, ready?
Florida's Mr. Speaker. Speaker. Gentlemen.
Vote.
Gentlemen, gentlemen Speaker. Speaker. Gentlemen, gentlemen Speaker. Gentlemen Speaker.
Gentlemen. Speaker. Speaker. Washington.
Speaker. Speaker.
Speaker, Speaker.
Gentlemen.
Speaker. Speaker.
Gentlemen. President. President. Gentlemen.
Speaker. Speaker. Fraud. 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 Frauded. Fraud. 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 President. President. Frauded. Vote.
Gentlemen.
Speaker, 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 President Trump, fraud, fraud, fraud. President of Washington, President, President, fraud, President, fraud, fraud.
Gentlemen. Speaker. Vote. Vote. Vote.
Speaker,
Gentlemen.